This is a short video for liquidity ratios, and it follows on from the balance sheets video. It's just two quick formulas or two quick calculations that you can carry out to see how liquid a firm might be. So the two formulas that we're going to look at is, first of all, the best case scenario, which is the current ratio. And what I mean by that is the current ratio considers all current assets. So it includes all the stock. It includes, for example, maybe trade receivables that they might not have received yet, but it still includes it. It includes all the current assets, every single current asset that the business owns or should be converting into cash very soon. And then it divides it by the current liabilities. And the next ratio is more of a worst case scenario. And that's not to say that it's bad, or it could be negative, or it could be not liquid. It's not to say that. But what it does is this formula thinks actually we cannot accept every single current asset within this formula. What happens if we do not sell the stock? What happens if some of the inventory goes unsold? So actually, why don't we have a look at their current assets but exclude stock and just see if we're liquid even without stock? So what it does, it gets your current assets, it subtracts your inventories or your stock from that, and then divide by the current liabilities. So what we'll do is we'll have a go with these calculations with this very basic balance sheet here. So first of all, we need to look at which ones are current assets and which ones are current liabilities. So first of all, we know that cash is a current asset, and we know that inventory is a current asset, but equipment is a non-current asset, so we won't include that. In terms of liabilities, easier because there's only one, and that's the payables, and again that is a current liability. So the first one we'll do is the current assets. The current ratio, and then we'll look at the acid test ratio, and we'll look at how they differ. You would expect, especially with a company that sells lots of goods, you would expect the current ratio to be much higher than the acid test ratio, but both could show liquidity. And in fact, if the acid test ratio shows that the firm's liquid, then that's a really good sign, because that shows even if we don't sell a stock, we're still liquid as a company. So there we can see that their current assets, including stock, is $50, and their current liabilities with their payables is $150. So they owe $150 to suppliers. If we do the formula of 50 divided by 150, we should get roughly 0.33 rounded. So what that tells you is for every $1 of liability, okay, so as I'm just pointing here, every $1 of liability, they have only got 33 cents to pay that $1 off. So at the moment, this firm is not showing to be liquid. So let's have a look at the acid test ratio and see how that differs. So we would expect this company to be, their acid test ratio to be worse because obviously we're not including stock. But we can see that it's 23 cents to 1. So what we can see here is for every $1 of liability, they only have 23 cents to pay it off. Now, I'm not saying don't be concerned by the acid test ratio, but the fact is the current ratio is disturbing as it is. It's worrying. So I'd be more focused on the current ratio than the acid test ratio during this, because let's face it, you do expect to sell some stock. You might not sell it all, but you shouldn't be in a situation where you don't sell any stock. The fact that their current ratio is 33 cents to 1 is really worrying, and this company needs to consider how they're going to improve their liquidity. What a company, I suppose, wants is for it to be greater than 1. So they want that to be greater than 1. So, for example, I don't know, let's say their current ratio was 1.5 to 1. That would say that they've got $1.50 for every 1 cent of liability. So it should show that they're liquid. They should be able to obviously meet any financial obligations that come.